南方网评：粮食问题从光盘升级到全链条，中共为抢粮做舆论准备。蒙古开始故意遮掩公交车上的蒙文。为逼孩子回学校，蒙古公务员到牧民家里骚扰，牧民无奈驱车找荒草地让孩子暂避。
부조 수시에 그만해. 네, 관리했다. 또 그건 야만 거랑은 어느 마음에 있죠. 너무 마음을 없이.
은 사복 답벌던 데서블린 하라비는 서로 저 뭐아 이르더라 하스터만지 저런 것들 뭐 박나린 төргөөнө першин хөдөлгөөн
та бүхний өнөөдрийн төм амгалан айлтгая. Энд би нэг санаачлалын тухай товчхон ярих гэсэн. Энэ бол өвөр Монгол дахь Хятадын коммунист намын соёлын геноцидыг зогсоо гэсэн энэ санаачлал байгаа. Тэгээд яг иймэрхүү санаачлагуудыг нэгдсэн үндэсний байгууллага Ерөнхий ассамбле, хүний эрхийн байгууллага, мөн одоо боловсрол шинжлэх ухааны соёлын байгууллага ЮНЕСКО байдаг. За Европын холбоо гэдэг олон газруудад энэ санаачлагыг өргөж хэлэлцүүлж болохоор байгаа. Энэ санаачлагын утганд Америкийн засаг захиргаа Конгресс хандсан энэ зүйлд анхаарал хандуулж хэлэлцээч арга хэмжээ аваач гэсэн ийм одоо санаачлаг байнамаа. Тэгээд дэлхийн монголчуудын зүгээс гарч байгаа идэвхтэй ажиллаж байгаа одоо монголчуудын зүгээс гарч байгаа ийм санаачлаг. Тэгэхээр энэ дээр бичсэн байна. Stop the CCP's cultural genocide in Inner Mongolia гэж. Тэгэхээр энэ бол өвөр Монгол дахь Хятадын коммунист намын соёлын геноцидыг зогсоо гэсэн юм санаачлага. Тэгээд энд юу гэж бичсэнийг би энд бас утсан дээр монголоор бичсэн энэ хэсгээс орчуудын энд бол англиар бичсэн байна. 2020 оны 9-р сараас Хятадын засгийн газар өвөр Монголын Монгол сургуульд анхан шатны боловсрол болгох гэлийг монголоор биш мандаринаар солих ажиллагааг хүч түргэн хэрэгжүүлж байна гэж. Since September 2020, the Chinese government has attempted to forcibly change the primary education language in Mongolian schools in Inner Mongolia from Mongolian to Mandarin. За тэгээд их гэлээрээ сурах эрхээ хадгалахын төлөө эцэг их оюутан сурагчдыг хийж байгаа тэмцэл нь орон нутгийн засаг захиргаа хүчний байгууллагын хатуу дарамтчилтаа учирсаар байгаа юм а гэж. When students send parents to action against this policy to keep their mother tongue, they were blocked by local police and authorities. За энэ хүү байдлыг үл тесвэрлсэн олон монгол хүн амиа хордож хүртэл эсрэг үйлчлээ илэрхийлж байна гэж. Many Mongolians were unable to withstand the pressure and were forced to commit suicide. Энэ нэрээс маш товчхон уран үндэслэл бичсэн байна.
最后的粮仓大东北发洪水，粮食减产严重。
老铁们啊，放粮了，你看这粮食，蓦烟胡同的。老铁，你看这稻子是吧？下还有水呢，还淌溜的还，你说这稻子整回来咋整？是吧？干这老些。 车上还有没卸的呢？这不晾半拉月一宿，还淌溜的，这咋整？外面下雨。 呲牙吵，尤其是闹腾。这是北门停车场，看看这道。这都是门市馆。
江西永修县泄洪后至今未能恢复。爆料革命开创以歌灭共的新纪元，共产党为此专门成立了网络音乐巡警。华为手机称，2021年将升级支持鸿蒙2.0。美国在安理会指出，中共抗疫不透明，导致全球蔓延，耿爽批其耻辱。环球时报称，反华分子攻击驻英大使推特，网友纷纷表示上不了推特。中共体制下，人人都是受害者。
全是12周的孩子啊，满走廊都是啊。
我是前天晚上我孩子回来说拉肚子，昨天还继续拉肚子，一天拉了5、6次。后来晚上10点左右，学校的群里面就发，好多孩子全都拉肚子。到今天早上，500人的群，一大部分人吧都说孩子拉肚子。我才意识到这个情况特别严重。
咱家孩子是9月2号中午在那12中食堂吃这个鸡翅，普遍孩子反映鸡翅酸，完有异味，半夜10点半的时候就上吐下泻，一直折腾到3点。9月9号带孩子去上中医院检查。
Starting next Tuesday, Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix will have to stop supplying chips to Huawei following the latest U.S. sanctions against the Chinese tech giant. The U.S. has imposed several sanctions on the firm over its alleged ties with Chinese intelligence services. Under the new sanctions, semiconductor companies using U.S. technology cannot sell chips to Huawei without obtaining a license of approval. The measure set by the U.S. Commerce Department last month will take effect from September 17.
Pharmaceutical company AstraZeneca halted phase 3 of its COVID-19 vaccine trials on Tuesday after discovering that one of the participants fell seriously ill in the process. The company said that this is a routine measure encountering an unexplained illness among the participants. Details of the symptoms are yet to be released, but according to US-based media outlet Stat News, who first broke the story, the individual will recover. The person who fell ill is from the UK, but the decision to bring research to a halt has impacted the company's trials all across the world.
ASIO bans Chinese agents is the headline. And a story here by Simon Benson and Ben Packham. 6 Chinese citizens believed to have engaged in espionage or foreign interference in Australia have either been denied re-entry into the country or have left after being questioned by intelligence agencies. 2 academics were offshore when the Australian government cancelled their visas, effectively preventing them from returning to the country, while 4 Chinese journalists left Australia after being spoken to by ASIO. The intelligence services actions targeting foreign interference comes amid heightened tension between Canberra and Beijing.
Nuclear weapons technology has proliferated around the world is primarily due to China. China helped Pakistan And then it allowed the AQCON proliferation network to operate. Beijing obviously knew about it because it was their technology that Pakistan was selling to Libya, Iran, and North Korea. So what Beijing has done is, through Pakistan, has transferred the most dangerous technologies to its rogues. And so, therefore, we should view North Korea and Iran's programs, both ballistic missiles and nuclear weapons, as essentially China's.
Yeah, when we hear President Trump yesterday talking about decoupling, everyone says, no, you can't decouple from China. There's too much manufacturing. There's too much crossover. But these three examples are perfect reasons why it's not really a choice at this point.
No, it's not a choice. And there's another example, and that is Xi Jinping took steps in December and January to make sure that the coronavirus escaped from China's borders. So this was a deliberate spread. And that means we have 189,000 dead Americans today because of a decision that the Chinese leader made. We can't reform communist China right now, John. And that means the only way we can protect ourselves and future generations of Americans is to sever our links with it.
And he's saying that the CCP-Virus, or as we know it, the novel coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever you want to call it, is manufactured. It has been manufactured by the Chinese Communist Party. Dr. Yan, that's a very, very strong charge, and people will ask, why is that credible? Why is that a credible charge you're making?
Yeah, so I know most of people cannot accept this fact, and it's too evil for us to understand. But what I can tell you is, as what even China government and their colleague WHO or others people in the scientific world claim that they want us to use scientific evidence to show it to the world. Yeah, now I have finished my first report with my scientist team, and this one will be published to the world very soon because it's now in the final step now. We can use the detailed evidence in scientific way in the reference and also point out their smoking guns created by themselves to let people understand why this cannot be someone come from nature.
Was it intentionally released at this point in your estimation, or was it accidentally released?
All the things together with my evidence, and they can support it, of course, show people that even without more intelligence, you will understand that this is something very evil and definitely did it on purpose. At my experience, I can guarantee that there is no way for the virus come from stay in the P3 lab to run out like this by accident.
What is gain of function, and are there any legitimate applications for gain of function?
Actually, gain of function, I mean, just literally you can understand it. When you try to study something new, you don't want to reduce their function or just focus on the character of itself. You want to see whether you can add more function on that. It's like when you had a stone and you sharpen it and become a hammer or become an axe, that is called gain of function. Or you make something become a gun which can shoot you, that is called gain of function.
Do you think there will be a vaccine available in the United States by election day, by November the 3rd?
From the information we get at this moment, I'm not the optimistic one. Because although there are still some data we haven't seen, right? But as we see that problem already come out in China and even in UK, and there is most of the companies they are using the traditional technique. So they don't know what really happened to this virus. They won't understand how to make the real vaccine.
If you were sitting down with the President or Secretary of State Pompeo, we've got about 1 minute left here, what would be the most important thing you could impart to them, actions that they need to take today?
Understand what happened in the lab, who get involved, not only the Chinese scientists in China, there are also the scientists from different countries in all over the world who are collaborating with them. The scientific world who is conducting this kind of information censorship all need to get investigated.
Look at Venezuela. Look at Africa. China's pretending they don't have a problem. In my opinion, right now, they are stockpiling food for the future. And I don't think that we should participate in, once again, rescuing the Communist Chinese Party from their own problems, from their own errors, just like Nixon did 50 years ago. And these people are basically catcalling the president. In the Global Times today, and I apologize for going on so far, Taiwan News is talking about potential meeting with U.S. Secretary of Commerce Wilbur Ross and Keith Kroc, the Undersecretary of State for Economic and Growth. And so China is very, very upset about this. And China came out with an editorial in the Global Times. This is as if Chairman Xi wrote it himself. And he said, it says, American officials planning to visit Taiwan should think twice. Oh, also, I've got to give one thing. They said that the Taiwanese people should never trust the Americans. Have they forgotten the history of 50 years ago, specifically referencing Nixon, Kissinger's kowtowing to the CCP? This is what they say. American officials planning to visit Taiwan should think twice. You should understand the weight of the Taiwan question in the hearts of the Chinese people. For Americans who dare to provoke China on the Taiwan question, the Chinese people will remember you for a lifetime. Do not come to China anymore. You are not welcome here. You and your affiliated companies will have to stop doing business with China and face sanctions. You will face consequences. This is a threat from the mouthpiece of the Communist Party of China toward American business, toward Wilbur Ross, toward our relationship with Taiwan. And I got to tell you, American people, every one of you should be angered. Everybody should be posting a Taiwan flag on their Twitter page. Call their bluff. I can't visit there? Well, guess what? Maybe we don't send the corn barges over to visit. Excuse me.
Look, obviously, we got to be very careful about when you're dealing with food, particularly in famine situations. But I think your point's well taken, is the Chinese Communist Party understands the heat's on now. Even they're forcing Joe Biden to actually respond to this. Joe Biden, whose friendship with Xi, he brags about all the time until he gets into campaign stops up in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. This couldn't get more serious. I think as this campaign heats up, China and the CCP are going to get to be a central issue, particularly about economic nationalism, where the jobs went. And I want to make sure our audience understands. Now you're seeing all the globalists are all going to pretend like they're nationalists, they're economic nationalists over the next 60 days. What I'd like to do is ask ABN and Vish if we can tee up the Richard Haas. Let's go right to Morning Joe. If you want to see what the globalists think, you want to see the conventional wisdom in the swamp, or the conventional wisdom of the permanent political class, every morning you should watch Morning Joe, because that's where you got it. Richard Haas, obviously, you talked about it a lot. Let's hear Richard Haas on Morning Joe.
This will be the defining relationship of this era, just like the U.S.-Soviet relationship was the defining relationship for 4 decades of the Cold War. The challenge for the U.S. and for China is going to be, how do we structure the competition in ways that don't spill over into direct conflict over Taiwan or over the South China Sea? How do we structure the inevitable competition so it doesn't preclude or rule out cooperation, say, on climate change, or on dealing with the North Korean nuclear challenge, or on dealing with stability in Afghanistan? So we're looking at a relationship that's going to have multiple personalities. And this is going to place tremendous, real premium on the quality of foreign policy, on the quality of statecraft, because it's not going to be one-dimensional. It's not going to be one-directional. We're going to have to find a way to cooperate on Tuesdays and Thursdays, yet compete the rest of the time. And we're going to have real disagreements, but can we still limit the disagreement? So again, like it worked out with the Soviets, it doesn't spill over into direct conflict. And can we shape our relationship overall so we can still cooperate, say, on global public health? It serves our interest to do that, even if we disagree fundamentally on the South China Sea. That will be the challenge, and how well that challenge is met will probably, as much of anything, determine the character of the next 50 years of this era of history.
That right there is what Ronald Reagan stood up to when he became president of the United States. He's against the Soviets. That's nothing but mumbo jumbo. Right there with Richard Haas. You follow that, that's the road to perdition. This is his typical party of Davos, permanent political class. The reason we're in the situation we are today with the CCP-Virus here in China, the senior cadre of the Communist Party lying about everything, right? You can't even go now to Taiwan on a business trip. Our Secretary of Commerce and one of the undersecretaries of State for Economic Development can't even go to Taiwan for a meeting, or they're saying they're going to shut down. They're dictating to the United States what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. You follow Richard Haas, and you're just going to get more of the disastrous foreign policy we've gotten in the first half of this, or the first 20 years of this century already, right? Absolute defeatism, unending wars. I mean, this is what President Trump's fighting. Richard Haas is kind of the voice of the globalists. And you heard right there the mumbo jumbo. How about this, Richard Haas? We win, they lose. You need to confront the Chinese Communist Party. They're the enemy of the Chinese people. They're an illegitimate regime. They are the enemies of the United States. You know, Milesguo says, hey, CCP lied, Americans died. What about this? How about genocide? They've already killed 180,000 of your fellow countrymen. And according to reports, it could be 400,000 by the end of the year. So it's absolutely incredibly outrageous. I know we got a minute left. Raheem, let's take it a break. Hashtag war and pandemic. We've got a packed show today. We're going to talk about election security and the plot against the president to steal his victory on November 3rd. We're going to get deep into that. We've got more about China later. We got about the famines, the vaccines, pandemic, everything today. A packed show. Darren Beatty's going to be next. Back to you, Raheem.
Thanks, Steve. And, I think it bodes saying that while the president was really robust on China last night and the rallies and yesterday all day and has been ramping up, I don't think we've quite seen anything yet. I think if the Biden camp thinks that this is about as rough as the attacks are going to get, they've got another thing coming. You're going to see from the Trump campaign a real ratcheting up, I think, on the China stuff. We'll be here for it. We'll be covering it. We'll be bringing you the best clips here on America's Voice and hashtag War Room Pandemic. John Fredericks and beyond. We'll be back after a second.
过去的180天里边，我将近100天是在船上度过的，将近110天。我们给美国和西方提供了3个计划，就是没有共产党的新中国，如何与西方打交道；第二，如何把中国人和共产党分开后，将共产党掠夺的财富，将共产党犯的罪行，将共产党在西方世界犯的罪行依法审判；第三个，告诉西方人如何能最快的、高效的用战争最小的新的战争模式超限战和局部的战争，包括局部斩首，尽快消灭共产党，减少它对人类的灭亡。这3个方案完全得到实施。大家往回看这180天，脱钩、灭共、真相、病毒的罪魁祸首、西方的觉醒、中国人与共产党的不同、中国人需要的法治、民主和自由、中国人的新中国联邦，展示了中国人的未来。不但如此，兄弟姐妹们，你们在西方展示的中国人高品质、高品位、高道德、高法律自觉性和自律性，是共产党70年绑架中国人民从来没有发生。在这180天里，我们救了几百上千的香港同胞，我们与欧洲合作，以最快的速度、最大的可能，在欧洲包括英国提供了香港被强奸、被轮奸、被杀害的孩子的事实。我们向西方提供了大量的事实，共产党有双龙计划，准备攻打台湾，将造成人道灾难。我们向西方用事实和真实的证据，提供了关于这几个月在中国三峡大坝以下为共产党偷偷放水、淹死淹溺、掩盖真相。我们向世界展示了冠状病毒的真正的罪魁祸首，我们的阎维梦博士与新中国人的品质和形象和能力向世界展示。
共产党，你完了！共产党，你完了！
全球 CCP 病毒死亡人数超过90万人，美国每日病毒死亡人数激增至1000人以上。奥地利一天报告664起新增感染，为3月份以来新高。美国宣布 Moonshot 病毒测试计划，初步研究发现冠状病毒可能会入侵人的大脑。日本广播公司 NHK 表示，因感染缓解，东京正在考虑降低首都的警戒级别。印尼首都将重新封锁，以遏制不断升级的感染爆发。这场爆发已将医院推向了崩溃的边缘。川普总统对他得到诺贝尔和平奖提名的伟大荣誉作出反应， 称其为对我们国家而言最伟大的事情。失业报告公布前，美国股票期货下跌，